Welcome to your Get That Nugget for GCSE English Language. Today we'll be concentrating on giving you a framework to answer Paper 1, Question 3, a structure question. This session is to complement your lessons with your teachers and not to replace them in any way. Just as a bit of a recap, we'll have a look at the aims of this question. So if you remember, we're looking at the effects of the writer's choice of structural features, and we should be using some subject terminology to do that and enhance our answer. It's really important to remember, as I mentioned in the previous nugget, this has nothing to do with language analysis whatsoever. You will not get any marks for language analysis for this question. In the last nugget, we were looking at the approach to the question. So we've been using the extract from the monkey's paw, which is available for you to download and work through should you wish. And we looked at focusing on the three sections of the text. As a really simple base, we should be looking at the beginning, the middle and the end of a text. Then we went through the text and you were asked to label or shown how to label the side of the extract so that we've got something to write about in our answer. This is actually a very simple question if we keep to the beginning, middle and end and we look at the effects of what's been used. And effectively, this is like a puzzle piece. Why is this here and not here? Why is this here and not here, for example? There is a reason why these things happen in this order. So all the notes we took last time and all your annotations, and this is the same for any extract that you do this work on, you just need to then take your findings and turn them into a paragraph. The easiest way to do that is by using this really simple formula. So it might look a little bit complicated, but it's not. Well, I'm just going to go through it and hopefully it'll make more sense to you. So the three main things, if the quote is additional, so we won't count that one. We are going to use quotes, but the three main things are the important things. We always look at where. So we have to start each paragraph by explaining to the examiner where in the extract we found what we're going to talk about. Then we talk about the technique. We have a quote if it's appropriate, and then we talk about the effect. So we need to make sure that each paragraph has these three things in. As I said, a quote is an addition. Sometimes you won't be able to quote something that you found, but 9 times out of 10 you will be able to. So where, technique, effect. And we add these together and create a paragraph. So if you take your notes and you turn them into a paragraph, and for the purposes of this nugget, I'm going to use the first two things that we found. If you remember what I said, the middle of the text doesn't necessarily have to be the next thing that happens. It can be anywhere in the middle. It's just for this text, it was the next paragraph. So if we remember our three things, and this is our example paragraph. I have started with the where, and that's really, really important. Every paragraph should start with the where. You don't need an introduction, you don't need anything like that. This is the basic answer. It will get you the marks that you need, and then we can build on that through the nuggets throughout the year. For now, we're going to base it on the three things: where, technique, effect. So at the beginning of the extract, and we've got our where. The writer uses setting to withhold information. This is our technique, this bit here. As you can see, if you read through the rest of it, we've got a quote. I've got my quote there. And then, really importantly, the effect on the reader is the most important part. If you don't do the effect on the reader, you're missing out on vital marks. It's really important. So this creates a frightening atmosphere for the reader as we are unaware as to why the man, who is clearly frightened, is in the dark and we are unsure of what is going to happen next. Everything that's here, you wrote in your annotations. So it should be something that's quite easily turned from those annotations that we did, that you're able to do in any extract, and you turn it using those three steps into a paragraph. Like I said, at this stage, you do not need an introduction or anything like that. You just shape it in this three-step approach. If we do the same for the next paragraph, again, we've got where. Quite simple, it's just next. You can put it in the next paragraph, you can put later on, you can put in paragraph 5 if you want to number them, that's fine as well. So where, technique, direct speech, quotation, and then what this reveals. Again, the effects, longest part of the paragraph. These are very simple paragraphs. This is a base for you to work on. This is to show you the example of what a paragraph should look like. The more that you can write in here, the better. And as we go through the nuggets throughout the year, these paragraphs will get more detailed, but you are hitting everything that that exam question is looking for. You are saying where something has happened, you are saying the technique, and then you're talking about the effects. And then you would just need to do one more for the end. And if you can do those three things, you will get a good set of marks from this question. This question panics people because you're not used to talking about structure lots of the time. But actually, if you keep it as simple as those things, it should be quite an easy response for you to write. Remember what I said, you're taking your annotations. The annotations have the most work. Once you take your annotations, you're going to think about this 3-step process, where, technique and effect, and then you're going to write your paragraphs using those 3 steps. Hopefully you're able to put a quotation in there as well, but the 3 steps are really important. And if you're doing those 3 steps, you will get the marks. Last time I gave you a question to practice. This would be a good opportunity for you now to be able to use those 3 steps and write a response for your teacher. I'm sure they'd be really happy to mark it for you. Just remember, you're looking at those 3 sections, the beginning, middle and end. Then take your notes and use this 3-step approach. Where in the extract, which technique, effect on the reader. If you do that 3 times, so 1 for here, 1 for here and 1 for here, you'll have 3 paragraph answer, and then your teacher will be able to give you some marks and some feedback on that.